community of awesome! I'm Ava J, and this is Bookish Pixie. So I'm involved in a lot of writer communities online, and so I often see writers talk about having multiple book ideas, but they aren't sure which one to pursue first. So today's vlog is on how to choose your next book idea. So I've already done a vlog on how to come up with book ideas, so if that's something you're struggling with, I'll link to it below. But if you have the opposite problem where you have too many ideas and you aren't sure which one to pick, here we go. I frequently find, for me at least, that it's helpful to let my ideas sit before I do anything with them. How long you let an idea sit is totally up to you. I usually do a few days to a few weeks, but remember, writing is subjective. What works for you, so yeah. As you let your ideas settle, pay attention to which ideas are the ones that keep coming back to you, the ones that are hard to ignore and that you keep thinking about. I've heard people mention writing ideas down, and I think that's great if it works for you, but I found that for me at least, I don't like to write them down initially because while I'm sifting through ideas and determining whether or not I'm going to pursue one, the ideas that I don't need to write down because they stick with me anyway are the ones that end up being the strongest. So when you're letting your ideas settle, think about which are the ones that aren't letting you go. Once you figure out which ideas are the ideas that are sticking with you, if you're a plotter, this is when you're going to want to start brainstorming. I kind of have two stages of brainstorming. First, I'll write down any and all ideas that come to me when I'm focused on the one story idea. This could be about character, could be an image, or could be just a general idea or something I'd like to include. Whatever it is, I write it down. Once I have a semi-decent idea going, then I'll start plotting out scene by scene. I've already done a vlog on how I plot, so I'll link to that below. The plotting stage for me is often the hardest because that's when you're trying to create an entire book structure based on just an idea. This is where a lot of the weaker ideas that I start plotting die. If I can't plot out the idea from beginning to end, then I know the idea isn't going to stick with me enough to plot out a book. Let's say, however, that you have more than one idea, or if you're a plotter, you plotted out more than one idea. So the question is, now what? This is where you want to start thinking about the market in the back of your mind. This comes with a caveat because the market changes constantly, and so the way the market looks when you start writing that book is going to be entirely different from the way it looks when your book is ready to go on submission. I say think about the market now because maybe if you have two ideas and one idea is in a dead genre, you might want to hold off on that one for now, but maybe not. How much weight you put on the market is up to you. The biggest qualifying factor here is deciding which idea feels more urgent and important to you. This is going to be totally subjective, so you want the idea that you are most excited about and the idea that you just can't wait to write. That's the one you want to go with. But once you pick an idea, you need to stick with it. When you choose an idea, you have to go 100% in because oftentimes you'll find when you're first drafting, suddenly that other idea you had sounds really good right about now. This happens so often. There's actually a term for it amongst writer circles. It's shiny new idea syndrome. Shiny new idea syndrome is basically when you're first drafting and the draft starts to get hard because writing a book is hard, and suddenly you get a new idea or an old idea comes back to you and it seems so enticing that you want to give up on your draft so that you can start writing the other idea. Don't give in. This happens all the time. Even if you were to go write that other new idea, it is very likely that in the middle of drafting that one, you would get another new idea. It's just a matter of resistance. When you are first drafting, oftentimes it feels like those other ideas that you haven't attempted to draft now would be easier and better somehow. It's a lie. It's not going to be easier, so don't fall for it. Writing a book is really hard, and it's not going to get easier really ever. One of the most important things when you're writing a book is to try to stick with your idea as much as possible and see it through to the end. That being said, if while you are drafting you completely lose interest in your idea and you start to dread the writing, then it might be time to move on to something else. But you really want to examine yourself when you're doing that. Is it because you've completely lost interest in writing the story, or is it just because it's hard? If it's the latter, see it through. You can't write a book until you write a book, and it's going to be hard every time. But if it's the former and you just don't want to write that book anymore and you are dreading the writing, then don't torture yourself. Just remember, no matter how bad you think the book is turning out or how difficult it is, you can't edit what you haven't written. So pick an idea, see it through, and then you can go write something else. So that's all I got for today. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next week.